Top Gun 1986 Paradigm Review Show. You guys can be my wingmen anytime. Chat seems quiet right now at the time being, but we're going to let the signal go out, let you guys populate. Not too much channel news at the current juncture. Little hint for next week's show, Conan the Barbarian, what is best in life? So I'm sure we'll revisit that discussion once we get to the end of the show here. Let me check the, well, obviously, Dion Walker tomorrow, Zodiac Files interview, volume 18, I think, 18, 19, one of those. Had a little issue when Dion's phone died last show and he kind of dropped. So we'll be coming back. We'll be doing his One Killer Theory essay, which is linked under the Dion Part 1 show. My Full Circle Theory. You can obviously watch episodes 1 through 4 of the Zodiac Files main series to find out what that is. And yeah, I think that's all that's going on right now. Dion, I mean, you can see other updates on my Facebook. Obviously, The Crow, Days of Sodom, just got off set in Baltimore, filming a stunt fight sequence with those guys. So go check that out on The Crow, Days of Sodom group on Facebook. What up, Pixie? What up, Colonel Crank? All right, without further ado, the man of the hour. He requested to join the Maverick show, but now we're making good on it now. Retired Navy sailor, co-host of the Zodiac Files, Gunner, a.k.a. Brian P. Welcome to, well, not making his debut on the channel because he's been on the main series and the Zodiac series, but making his debut on Paradigm Review Show. Welcome to the show, brother.
Thanks. I hope to be invited back some more.
Oh, yeah, hell yeah. Well, we'll get to that discussion at the end of the review because there's rumors of Top Gun 3, so we'll definitely have to see how that all pans out. Definitely interested to see where that goes. Haven't said it yet, but rest in peace to Val Kilmer. So I did my screening last night. Honestly, it was a tough watch, knowing that like we lost Val, and then I assume you watched Top Gun Maverick. Gunner, did you get a chance to watch the second one?
Oh yeah, a few times.
Yeah, it was amazing. It's just the one choice I say I would probably disagree with. I said it on the Top Gun 2 review, was having Val's character have throat cancer when he actually had that in real life. They probably, yeah, I understand why they had to do it because they had to work around the situation, but maybe there was a more tasteful way to go about that. You know what I mean? Other than writing in his actual illness, you know? Like, well,
you know, it's kind of clever that they did that because it's not uncommon for naval personnel to get, you know, cancer and how they deal with it. Although,
yeah,
you know, his character is one of the highest ranking admirals, and they probably was really comfortable.
Yeah, but, true. Although, I mean, having the whole career as a fighter pilot, being in the field around the jet fuel, whatever the gas is, the exhaust. I mean, you could see how maybe he could how that could go down throughout his career. So we're talking about Iceman, aka Val Kilmer. Rest in peace, a legend. The Salton Sea. Oh, dude, I watched this trailer, and I really want to watch this movie because that's a really interesting area, Brian, out there, the Salton Sea. Apparently, they just found that massive lithium mine out there, lithium deposit, which is underneath the Salton Sea. But yeah, and like you'd know better than me, Brian, but back in the 60s, that was a massive like Hollywood vacation area where all the stars would go and vacation there, and then basically it kind of declined after that, and now it's kind of like a bombed out and depleted like meth area. But Val's movie is about like a biker that shows up there and he's doing crime and all that stuff. I definitely want to watch that movie. I don't know if you've seen it, right?
Sounds great. Now, it's in reality, the Salton Sea is dried up and all the fish are stinking.
yeah, right, exactly. So no wonder they want to crack that open and get to the lithium there.
I used to go there all the time when my grandmother lived in Palm Springs. So,
yeah, Brian definitely knows Southern California and the California state area better than I do, given that he's actually from out here. You guys know me. I'm just a lowly New Hampshire boy. Let me get Maverick ready so we can lock in and wingman this review. But obviously, you guys know 1986. Obviously, you guys know directed by Tony Scott. Rest in peace. I think this is possibly his finest work. And I really like the director of 2 as well. You know, what he did with Maverick, but I just don't think there's any competing with Top Gun 1. I mean, this is the San Diego film. Brian, if you want, you could talk a little bit about your Navy career. Obviously, I think you were stationed out here at one point. I can't remember if you ever told me or if I asked you, were you at Point Loma or Coronado, or did you go?
I was actually at all three bases in San Diego at one time or another.
Mm-hmm.
But I was stationed on the USS Ranger, which was the primary ship used for Top Gun.
Awesome. I was gonna ask you that. So we got a little authenticity here on Paradigm Review Show for this. My co-host Gaz couldn't make it. Bri, I was hoping to have all three of us. He got called into work, but he did have some questions for you about authenticity and stuff. So he sent them to me. I'll try to ask him later in the episode.
Yeah, cool. I can do that.
Hell yeah. So you guys just heard what's up. Brian was actually, on that ship. So if there's any questions for Brian in the chat, just keep them going as we're moving through the review here. And if you guys want to shoot your Zodiac questions to Brian, I'll allow it for today as a special treat. But don't get us too off site. So obviously we know Jerry Bruckheimer produced this one. Screenplay written by Jim Cash. Did you know that this? Did you know about the Top Guns article, Brian, in California Magazine that was like the basis for this movie?
Yeah, I knew about it. I didn't read it, but it was an interesting story. It came out. I think I looked at that last year or so when Maverick 2 came out.
Yeah, it's back on the news circuit. What was I gonna say? So the funniest thing, so like I worked at my last job, I worked in La Jolla, like not far from Miramar at all. And the Top Guns used to like fly. I was kind of in this like, wasn't like a huge tower, but it was like a, kind of an office building that was like mid-sized. And like I had like a corner office with like all windows. And when we would have these like meetings all the time, and when they would do their flybys, I'd be like, "Hey, hold on, everybody," and I would just mute my mic because it's kind of like when Maverick requests the flybys in the movie, you know what I mean? All you could hear is just those jet engines ripping by, and like for a solid 2 minutes, I would just be muting, and I'd be like, "Okay, everybody, just repeat what you said on that meeting," because it would happen like 5 times a meeting. It was hilarious.
Oh yeah, when I was working at UCSD, the Blue Angels in town, they're always over the top of UCSD doing their turns and stuff.
Yeah, hell yeah.
It's called the jet pause. Okay, wait.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. People, they'd be like, "Hey, so Ross, we need you to," and I'm like, I don't know what you asked me. You know what I mean? There's no way around it. Sorry, guys, please repeat. So obviously that was the Top Guns magazine. Tom Cruise plays Lieutenant Pete Maverick Mitchell, a young naval aviator aboard the USS Enterprise. He and his radar intercept officer, Lieutenant Junior Grade Nick Goose Broadshaw, are given the chance to train at the U.S. Navy's Fighter Weapons School Top Gun at Naval Air Station Miramar in San Diego, California. Kelly McGinnis, Val Kilmer, and Tom Skerritt also appear. I love Michael Ironside's role. He's kind of the second in command. That dude is the man. The funniest thing,
every character he plays is great.
Dude, Ironside is the man. I love his sci-fi stuff, honestly. But, of course, his 80s career, you can see what he came out of. The funniest thing I want to tell you, Brian, is I've probably gotten 3 or 4 arguments with people about this movie that tell me that Maverick works for the Air Force because he flies a plane. Because people, the casuals who just, obviously Brian's a retired Navy career guy, but it's like the funniest thing in the world. Like I have to have 45-minute arguments. I'm like, dude, they go to a naval ceremony. It says they're wearing Navy uniforms, Navy insignias, Navy flight suits. They're on a Navy aircraft carrier. What part of this movie are you missing that Navy is a very central theme? You know what I mean? It's like, what did you watch? You know what I mean? It's hilarious.
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
They just don't get it.
The first thing about the whole movie is just the beginning where it says, they call it Weapons Fighter School. And then it goes, but the aviators call it Top Gun. Mm-hmm. And that's like, okay, start the thrill that way. It's not the best opening of any type of military movie like that.
I agree. I mean, Tony Scott's directing, the editing. I mean, so the one thing that like you expect is like the way they hype it up with the trailer. Obviously, you guys, if you haven't seen the film, so you can watch it on YouTube. I don't think it's free anywhere, but you could definitely stream it I think it's on Amazon Prime and stuff like that. Stream it on most places. obviously the soundtrack, you know what I mean? Danger Zone, Kenny Loggins obviously kills it. I mean, Take My Breath Away isn't my favorite song, but obviously Danger Zone. And the other hilarious thing, I don't know if you've ever seen this, Brian, I got to send it to you. Honest Trailers. Do you know what that channel is? Where the dude does like those little, it's like fake trailers and he kind of like dubs over it and like roasts and does jokes and stuff.
No,
I'm gonna send you that one because he did Top Gun and it's absolutely hilarious because he talks about like the amount of times that they play Danger Zone. He's like every time they get in the fighter jets, it's like cue Danger Zone again, cue Danger Zone again, like 3 or 4 runs of Danger Zone, but you got to have it, you know.
Oh well, and there's a YouTube person. His name is Ward Carroll, and he is a former backseater.
Nice.
And he's got a parody of Top Gun on his channel. And it's pretty funny that instead of like a motorcycle, he's got a tricycle and stuff like that. It's hilarious. But anyway, he's a former backseat, a Rio, and also some pretty good books out.
Sick. Yeah, no, yeah. So Pete Mitchell rides the Kawasaki Ninja, which is the fastest motorcycle at the time. I did one thing I was thinking. I know, Bri, you relocated out of SoCal a while back. Did you hear all this stuff about the Top Gun house in Oceanside? Basically, it was like under construction with the fences around it. I have a few different pictures of it from like when they were talking about tearing it down. I guess Tom Cruise stepped in to save it or preserve it or whatever. And now, have you seen like what it is now? I don't know if you got the update.
It's a candy store on Oceanside Boulevard.
Yeah,
and they really did a great job of putting it up there, and this was the house. But I've been by it before it was torn down and taken back. So
yeah.
I've been to most of the filming locations because I'm a Navy squid, and that's
Absolutely. No, yeah, it's awesome. So it's like basically a pie shop now. They have ice cream, and honestly, the pies are delicious. Last time I was up there, I forgot we were doing this, and I was thinking like, man, I should have jetted up there and got some pictures of like the pies and the ice cream, so like the fans could all see like what's going on. I think I do have 1 or 2 on my Instagram, so you guys can scroll there and see what's going on there. So that was obviously Kelly, what's her name?
McGillis.
Yeah, McGillis, her character. That was her house, and we do have a little bit more. I watched some kind of like behind the scenes stuff about Pete Mitchell and what goes on with her. So basically, they had those focus groups to say like, hey, what do you guys think of the movie and all that? And she played Charlie. And the focus group was like, yeah, there's not like enough sex scenes in this movie, so they brought back Tom and Kelly to film that like Take My Breath Away one, and then also the elevator scene, and that's why she had the hat on, because she had her hair dyed, and like Tom's hair was longer because he was on that next movie. So there's like a lot of like just inconsistencies, but like, what kind of 80s focus group like, hey, this is a movie about fighter pilots, about Top Guns? They're like, yeah, there's not enough sex scenes in this movie. Like, okay, that's an 80s thing, I guess. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they should have just gone on Westpac with us.
Not enough softcore in Top Gun. Okay, we get it. Obviously, Goose is the man. Love him. Meg Ryan, you know what I mean? I don't really get what the big deal of her is. She's not really my favorite looking actress, but apparently this is her first movie, so I have to assume that she was casted on acting talent for that. Like, if she's supposed to be a hot Navy wife, I think they could have did a little bit better for Goose. Just my opinion, has nothing to do with the actual movie.
Well, that's true. But, I was so in love with Meg Ryan, and unfortunately, as much as I was in love with her, she's never ever called me.
Yeah. Well, she was going for the Rios, like you said, and you were boots on the ground on the ship. So where was I going here? So Top Gun, it was released May 16th, 1986. Visual effects and soundtrack were universally acclaimed. The film initially received mixed reviews from film critics. Despite this 4 weeks after its release, the number in theaters showing an increased 45%, overcame initial critical resistance, became a huge commercial hit, grossing $357 million globally, and production budget of 15. That's pretty insane for 86. Top Gun was the highest grossing domestic film of 86. I'd have to see what else came out that year. I'm sure there's some big stuff, as well as the highest grossing film of 86 worldwide. So pretty damn awesome, pretty damn impressive. If you like Brian said, so there's the initial intro scene That's like the refilling of the jets on the deck of the, I assume that was the Enterprise. And if you want, Brian, we can just go straight into some plot.
Sure, why not?
Pete Mav Mitchell and his radar intercept officer Rio, that's what Ryan was alluding to, Lieutenant Junior Grade Nick Goose Broadshaw, stationed in the Indian Ocean aboard the Enterprise. They fly the F-14A Tomcats during an interception with 2 hostile MiG-28s. Maverick missile locks one, while the other hostile locks onto Maverick's wingman Cougar. Maverick drives it off, but Cougar is so shaken that Maverick defies orders to land and shepherds him back to the carrier. And that's an awesome scene, by the way. Like as Brian said, it really sets the tone of the whole film. As a result, Cougar resigns his commission and loses his opportunity to attend Top Gun, the naval fighter. Can't talk today. The Naval Fighter Weapons School at Naval Air Station Miramar. You'd never think that me and Brian were so close to this place, and I can't even say it. Maverick and Goose are sent in his place by CAG Stinger, not without getting a reprimand for disobeying the landing order. So I mean, the whole thing is kind of like, whatever you want to call it, Brian, like the PTSD that the pilots face, and like a good portion of them cracking under the pressure. You see that with Cougar. You later see kind of like Goose affected by it, and then ultimately Pete Math Mitchell as we come to that part.
Yeah, well, one thing is he did not resign his commission. He just turned in his wings. He was probably a naval aviator or a naval officer, because actually the whole system of the Navy is being an aviator is just a part-time job. They're doing other things in the squadron and stuff like that, that they got maintenance people going on. They got their own aircrew people, and, you know, that's how they advance up in rank. So he probably didn't join. He probably didn't resign his commission.
Yeah, just out of the pilot's seat, which is the high pressure role. That's a great point, and that's why we have our boy Gunner here for the authenticity. Before the day of instruction, Maverick unsuccessfully approaches a woman at a bar. He learns the next day that she's an astrophysics and civilian Top Gun instructor, Charlie Blackwood. She becomes interested in Maverick upon learning of his inverted maneuver with a MiG-28. In Maverick's first training hop, he flies below 10,000 feet, breaking a major rule of engagement to defeat instructor Lieutenant Commander Rick Jester Heatherly. Maverick and Goose also buzz the control tower when specifically told not to do so. They are reprimanded by the Top Gun commanding officer, Commander Mike Viper Metcalf. So that part when he's describing the unauthorized maneuver, when Iceman, Val Kilmer, says BS, he does like the BS cough, and they all like laugh, like react to it. Apparently that was like an improv from Iceman, and like that was everybody's real reaction. So there's quite a few improv moments in this movie, which is pretty awesome that, you know, Tony Scott allowed that. You know, some directors are super like rigid on like, hey, this is the script, you got to stick to it. What up, Epic? Viper's actually awesome too. Go ahead.
The bar scene was actually at the Mississippi Room at the Lafayette Hotel right on the border of San Diego and El Cajon.
Ah, nice. I was going to ask you that. I didn't know where that one was.
So yeah, it wasn't at the club. You know, they really do a lot of camera setup, and it probably blocked too much traffic for people to get on and off base.
Yeah, for sure.
So there's a lot of, you know, oh, does this we can't find it at the officers club and stuff. Yeah, movie
like magic. So they simulated the room to look like the officer club, basically, is what you're saying. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I know. Obviously, I know where Kansas City barbecue is. I got some pics there with my boy Mac when he came out here. Great spot. And again, I should have hit up one of these spots for you guys, but I'm right nearby, so I can go there anytime. So
that was where I had my retirement ceremony.
Yes.
So when I retired from the Navy after I got done on the ship, we all went there. And
awesome. Yeah. And they still have the piano in the corner with like set up so you can take pictures at it and stuff, which is epic.
Yeah, they had to restore it after the fire a few years, well, maybe about 10 years ago now. But because a lot of us that would volunteer on the Midway, which is a aircraft carrier museum, we would walk over there for lunch every once in a while.
Oh yeah, hell yeah. Yeah, I didn't know about the fire. That's wild. See, Brian's on top of his San Diego history here. Privately, Jester tells Viper that while he admires Maverick's skill, he's not sure if he would trust him in combat. In class, Charlie objects to Maverick's aggressive tactics against the MiG, but privately tells him she admires his flying. They began a romantic relationship, harkening back to the Take My Breath Away sequence that Brian and I were just referring to. On training, Hop 19, Maverick abandons his wingman Hollywood to chase Viper. As a result, first Hollywood and then Maverick are defeated in a demonstration of the value of teamwork. Jester tells Maverick his flying is excellent, but criticizes him for leaving his wingman. Maverick's rival, Lieutenant Tom Iceman Kaczynski, calls his behavior foolish, dangerous, and worse than the enemy, to which Maverick responds, I am dangerous. Yeah, that's all the, the Iceman Maverick face-offs in the locker room. And I'm sure you know about that, Brian. Like they stayed away from each other on set. So, you know what I mean? It was like real tension.
Yeah, it was actually pretty interesting because they would never have all those aviators in a locker room in their skivvies, right? So they just did that to attract a bigger audience of, hey, look at all these guys in their underwear,
Yeah, ripped dudes in the locker room.
So that would have been kind of a cringeworthy moment,
Oh, absolutely, yeah. That's the eye candy, man candy that you probably would notice some things about in those sequences, Pixie. And we haven't even gotten to the legendary Stoned Wash Jeans volleyball game, you know what I mean, which we all know is probably the most cringe game of all time. But when they recreate the football game in the sequel, that's when things really pick up.
Right.
I just said that part. Maverick, I am dangerous. Maverick and Iceman, the leading contenders for the Top Gun trophy, chase at A4 in Hop 31. As Iceman has trouble getting a lock on the A4, Maverick pressures him to break off so that he can move into firing position. However, Maverick F-14 flies through Iceman's jet wash and suffers a flame out of both engines, going into a unrecoverable flat spin. Maverick and Goose eject, but Goose slams into the jettison's aircraft canopy and is basically killed by the impact. Okay, so this one, I was just watching some behind the scenes stuff, Bri, on YouTube. So did you know this? The Pentagon demanded script approval.
Oh yeah,
yeah. So that I don't know if that's ever happened before. I think this is the only film I mean, maybe it's happened with other films, but this is the only one I know of that for sure.
That's pretty common, as they run it by the Navy Department or whatever the armed forces that are there.
Yeah, Joint Chief of Staff or something.
A lot of people don't know that the real Viper was also in the movie.
Wow, that's sick.
So he's the older guy that's sitting at the table that when Charlie comes up, orders a drink, and then goes back to him and talking. That's actually the real Viper.
Super badass. I did not know that. So they actually, the Pentagon demanded script changes because they thought there was too many U.S. pilots going down in the film. So they changed that malfunction of Maverick and Goose to be just that, the malfunction. I think the original script was a collision, and like the Pentagon was like, we don't want that many of our guys like looking like they're going down like that. So they demanded that, which is like crazy. I mean, I just thought the whole thing was awesome. Just that you think of it's like a movie, it's like not that serious, right? But then there's some semi-serious things going on behind the scenes. I'll jump us back into some plot. I need a little water here. Sorry, guys. So yeah, this is kind of where we see, the decline of Maverick's story arc. Just saying what up to everybody in the chat. The Board of Inquiry clears Maverick of any wrongdoing, but he is shaken and guilt-ridden and considers quitting. He seeks advice from Viper, as Brian was just talking about, who flew with Maverick's father in the Vietnam War air battle, where he was killed. Contrary to official reports faulting Mitchell, Viper says that he died heroically. He tells Maverick that he can succeed if he regains his self-confidence. Maverick chooses to graduate and congratulates Iceman, who has won the Top Gun trophy. Iceman, Hollywood, and Maverick receive immediate deployment orders to deal with a crisis situation. They are sent to the Enterprise to provide air support for the rescue of the SS Layton and a disabled communication ship that drifted into hostile water. So this is what I was saying earlier. If you watch the trailer, you probably think that like the whole movie is like these epic dogfight sequences with the enemy. but it's actually like 75% training at Top Gun school, right, Brian? And then they get pulled into that last fight right after their ceremony. And also going back to what I was saying before, how do you miss the Navy references in this movie when they literally start on Navy boats and then they go to that Navy ceremony and are like deployed, you know, by the actual mission? It's just, it's like beyond me that people can watch Top Gun and walk away and be like, man, that was a sick Air Force movie. Like, what did you just watch, bro? But so I wanted to ask you this. It goes along with what Gaz wanted to ask you. Is that actually at all a realistic scenario where they were? Oop, I think we just lost Brian. We'll see if we can get him back. You guys can kill time with me in the chat. Top Gun 1986, the most epic film of all time. We got him back. All right, welcome back, sir.
Okay, repeat the question.
Yeah, was that at all a realistic scenario where they were just like at graduation and they're getting the ceremony of the insignias and then they give them the like, hey, your guys are getting deployed, right? I mean, I understand in an emergency situation it could happen, but like, what is the likelihood of them being there and be like, hey, we're going to deploy you right now? It's a crisis.
Well, there's so many naval aviators in the Navy.
They have guys in the field already, right?
They're going to send these two guys. Now, if you look at reality, they're going to jump in an F-14 and fly back to the aircraft carrier. That's going to take more than like 48 hours for them to do that. They have to get, if they were going to fly those F-14s, they have to get airplanes up in the air to gas them up.
Yep.
So it's not really realistic.
Yeah, because they have guys on standby ready for an actual crisis scenario.
So you have other people there. And just because they graduated from Top Gun doesn't mean that they were the first Top Gun class. In fact, you see it on the plaque.
Yeah, the class before them.
So there might have already been Top Gun aviators, plus former Blue Angel aviators on that aircraft carrier that are, that are obviously, trained to fly tight and together. But anyway, I don't. And the thing with them in their choker whites, I don't think that was realistic. They would have been in their regular white uniform. We used to call them the, ice cream uniforms and stuff like that because we looked like we were ice cream salesmen.
I love it. Yeah, I mean, again, it's a movie, guys, but we got Brian here, so it's worth asking him the questions because we had him. Obviously, I don't know much that I'm going to see except for the research. Obviously, I think this is the best sequence in the film. I've seen it probably 4 or 5 times, Brian, at least, and it always comes down to the movie is awesome, but it really picks up in the kind of the climax of this conclusion of when they send them out into real-time combat, which is this situation with the SS Leighton, these enemy MiGs patrolling. So aboard the Enterprise. Oh, and another thing I just wanted to go into, like, the acting in this movie, it's almost like every single actor is overacting, but because every person is doing it, it works. You know what I mean? Like,
well, actually, naval aviators have a pretty big ego anyway.
Oh yeah,
so
sure.
Like they would have all been overacting.
Bravado.
I don't think it was too much of overacting so much. I love some of the. We're gonna do what?
yeah. I mean, not just the pilots. I just mean like everybody, like Metcalf. Like we said, Ironsides, and like because he's like, they were questioning, Maverick's ability, and like Ironside was kind of like the doubting Thomas, right? He was like, he might not come back, and Metcalf wanted to keep pushing him so he could like, become legend. You know what I mean? But specifically, I was referring to when Iceman goes up to them, right, and he's like, regarding Maverick, like Iceman's still doubting him, whether he's going to back up the wingman on the last moment, and just kind of the reaction shots because they show Maverick's face, like he's just like all the scenes of him with just like sweat pouring down his face, and he's like his reaction to like Iceman questioning him, and it's like, all right, I mean, Tom Cruise does it in the second one too, right? He just has those overreaction action shots, but I mean, one of the highest paid actors in Hollywood, so that's what we get our money for, right? So I mean, it's not like it works, They
have to make it Hollywood friendly, but if that really would have happened, Iceman would have gone to their boss, well before that, and
for sure,
not right in front of them. They tend to everything in the military kind of tends to happen in private.
For sure.
They're not going to burn each other in front of the whole, crew.
Yeah, that thing was just the back and forth, Maverick Iceman dynamic, which obviously comes full circle at the end of this dogfight. But they've been pitting them against each other the whole movie, so like it worked. I'm just saying, like Val goes on to be like a little bit more of a serious character actor than Cruise does. Cruise is more like your standard like Hollywood leading man. Not to say he's not incredible. I haven't caught up on those new Mission Impossibles. Everybody go check out that new one out now. I need to get back on that series. So let's get into this. Good.
An interesting part is how Iceman and Maverick first met each other at the officers club on Miramar, but then they flew back to the same ship. They may have not even been there. They weren't even on the same ship when they left, so
right.
Now they're going back to the same ship, so
yeah,
he was probably already slotted from a different command, and they have several different commands, and
for sure.
So I was always, in fact, my telephone front screen is of the Wolf Pack. One of the pictures I took when I was on the Ranger of guys working on that airplane. So it's pretty cool. But
badass. I have that little that scratch sheet you gave me that you said was like one of the gunner's notepads. I think I have it at my office at work. But Brian gave me a couple artifacts from back in the day. Let's jump into this battle here. So aboard the Enterprise, Iceman and Hollywood are assigned to provide air cover with Maverick and Rio Merlin on standby. Maverick obviously gets to stand in for Goose. We saw what happened to Goose. Iceman expresses his concerns to Stinger about Maverick's mental state, but is told just to do his job. I love Stinger's response. He's like, "Yeah, I know what you're thinking. Get out there anyway. Who cares if Maverick is breaking down mentally?" You know what I mean? It's like that didn't really seem realistic either. But obviously, it's a high adrenaline, you know what I mean, awesome action movie. So Iceman and Hollywood are pulled into a dogfight with what first appear to be 2 MiGs, but turn out to be 6. After Hollywood is shot down, Maverick is scrambled alone due to catapult failure. He goes into a spin after encountering another jet wash, but recovers. Shaken, he breaks off temporarily, but then re-engages and shoots down 3 MiGs, which I think that's the best sequence in the movie, Brian. I don't know about you.
Makes him the first ace since like Vietnam.
So badass. Iceman destroys a 4th, and the remaining 2 MiGs withdraw upon their triumphant return to the Enterprise. And I think this is one of the best scenes ever, the celebration. The pilots share their newfound respect for one another, finally confident and able to let go of the guilt caused by the training accident. Maverick later throws Goose's dog tags overboard. Oh, damn, I missed that scene when I was watching it this last time. Offered the choice of any assignment, Maverick chooses to return to Top Gun as a destructor. I didn't really think like that. Obviously, that's like a setup for a sequel, which happens like 30 years later. But if he's the first ace, don't you think they would have kept him in the field? I mean, just your opinion on combat?
Yeah, I would imagine so. But also you have to remember that the aircraft carriers were out for 6 months.
Yeah.
And then while they're out steaming around, the other aircraft carriers getting ready to go relieve them.
True.
So in reality, he might have just had that job lined up anyway.
True. So he could have done both off rotation.
Yeah, I don't think he would have just immediately left the ship to go fly all the way back to the United States.
yeah. That's the movie crunch. Hey, we only got 2 hours here. Let's get this Navy story jammed in.
And it's funny because a lot of the active duty military guys, they're not going to wear a Top Gun ball cap in public. After Top Gun, yeah.
Of course, yeah. That's a movie trend.
Yeah. So 100%. I don't think he would have been, doing that. But I loved the scene. It was great.
Yeah.
Well, my first time I crashed and burned, and so she was, mimicking him in the movie. So it was pretty funny, when they, or walked off together, basically.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Oh yeah, I remembered another improv too in that video I was watching. So when Mav speeds away on the bike and Charlie chases him in her car, and like that's like we've all driven by that highway a million times there, but when she says like I was afraid everybody in class would know that like I've fallen for you, and Tom Cruise just does like the typical Tom Cruise reaction shot, and then he kisses her. They said that was because Tom had a line and he forgot it, so he
Yeah.
just kissed her instead, and Tony liked the shot so much that he just kept that instead of like that's an awesome director.
Oh, and that was an awesome scene. They had to use a ninja because I don't think there was any bike that heavy or that heavy light that could go up West Laurel like that.
Yeah, good
Hit
call.
the crest and fly up off the top of the street.
For
And
sure.
when I was working at I was on a minesweeper at the Naval Training Center, and we always used to go down that street all the way to because you know what the traffic is like. Get anywhere in San Diego is impossible.
Right.
So we used to go down that way and come in front of the airport instead of going down Pacific Coast Highway. It was pretty massive to get down there, but we used to drive up and down that street all the time to get to work.
Absolutely. Yeah, let me pull up some of Gaz's. Let me see. So yeah, so obviously the final celebration, guys. You know, you can be my wingman anytime. BS, you can be mine. That's when Maverick and Iceman finally align after they shot down the MiGs. Gaz wanted to ask you about the realism of the flight scenes and how they stack up, the dogfights and all that stuff. Is it relatively realistic?
Well, that's a very interesting question because they didn't use any airplanes in the movie. They had, obviously they had B footage and they had airplanes there, but most of the fight scenes were model airplanes out in the middle of Death Valley. So, and you can watch that on YouTube. They'll have like an F-14 hanging from a cable and they'll set it on fire and stuff like that. It's actually Hollywood, movie magic, but it wasn't really realistic. And they had like the cockpit was on a turn wheel, or so it could go upside down and stuff like that. So it was all
inverted,
kind of blue screen in there.
Yeah. Hell yeah. No, that's awesome. Because one thing I was wondering, like they said there's like a squad of like 6 MiGs, and then they're like, isn't Blue Angels fly like with 6, like a squad of like 6, don't they? So I was thinking like when they were slowly deploying them, I'm like, wouldn't they have like at least 6 of them out there already? Like you're gonna have 6 enemies, and you're gonna send in 2-3 guys at a time. That just didn't. I mean, it made sense for movie pacing, but in terms of military tactics, right?
Well, and when I was in the Persian Gulf, when we shot down a couple of airplanes, there was just two F-14s flying together.
Okay.
I don't remember the squadron name. I remember I was in the Persian Gulf on minesweepers, but they shot down 2 airplanes against 2 airplanes. So they had that covered.
Sick.
Our equipment is still far better than any other nation's equipment. So it was not that unrealistic for that many airplanes automatically to appear and be disguised by 2 other airplanes. They're hugging so close together, and then there's 4. In reality, I would see that the aviators would not have done anything unless they were under a threat. They would have kind of avoided the airplanes coming at them. Said, okay, let's get out of here and set up somewhere and wait for the cap people, or the backup on Red 5, But no, they probably, depending on the country, they probably would not have attacked 4-on-1 or 4-on-2.
Yeah, so it sounds like they got that fairly close.
But they have to put excitement in it,
Yeah, 100%, and that's where Tony Scott comes in, just one of the best directors in the world in my opinion. So Gaz wanted to ask you about other flight scenes, like basically thinking of like other dogfight flight sequence movies. I haven't seen I guess Stealth was one of the ones he mentioned. I don't think I've seen that. He said it was garbage. And then Firefox with Clint Eastwood. He steals a top secret fighter from the USSR. Have you seen that one?
I have. I love that movie.
Yeah. So
That was
it's
that was
pretty badass.
that was pretty badass.
Hell
But
yeah.
again, it's not based in reality.
Yeah, it's just a side quest, you know what I mean? But yeah, I'm gonna check that out. It sounds sick.
Then again,
Um,
like I said, our equipment was probably far better during the Cold War than Russia anyway.
yeah,
I
for
mean,
sure.
we had the SR-71 and we had the U-2, spy planes, and
Yep.
they were most awesome airplanes.
I love that sequence in Top Gun 2 Maverick when they crashed on the enemy territory and he went and got the Legacy plane and he still knew how to fly it and he flew that one out. That was awesome. That was a genius idea.
Well, and it's like Rooster going, "What do I do?" And he goes, "I don't know. That was your dad's department."
Yeah, exactly. Dude, that movie was freaking amazing. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. Unless you guys have any, well, we can. I'll do my rating. We can get Gunner's rating. You guys could weigh in with your ratings in the chat. And I have Top Gun. So it's got a 7 on IMDb. We rated out of 10, Bry. I'm gonna give it a solid 8. Like I said, one of the best action stars of all time, one of the best directors of all time, and of course, rest in peace, Val Kilmer, Iceman, one of the best actors of all time. Is it too early to call Val the GOAT? What's your rating, Bry?
Well, first of all, the movie was really good. I like both actors. Now, to go back to Gaston's question a little bit, all the air scenes that you see, where the pilots are dodging through, that's all done near Fort or in the Mojave Desert, not too far away from Area 51. And they still use that area for airplanes. So
Nice.
all that footage was right near Fallon Air Force Base, which is right on the border of, well, it's kind of near the border of Nevada and California. Now,
Yep.
I really live pretty close to all those now, but
Nice.
one of the things was Slider. By the way, for those people that don't know what sliders are, they're hamburgers. And we used to call the hamburgers and hot dogs on the speed line sliders and rollers for hot dogs and hamburgers.
Hell
and
yeah.
so
I'm gonna
he
use
was
that.
he was walking through the ship and he got lost and he just said, "Okay, I'm going to just go into this stateroom and go to bed." And the real aviator came in. He goes, "What are you doing in my stateroom, pal? Get out!" And Slider, he's a pretty big guy, so he's going like almost getting in challenge to the fight. So the Navy, the captain actually kicked him off the ship.
Damn.
So, you need to go and get out of here. And one of the other things, Tom Cruise would walk around the ship, and his people would say, "Hey, if Tom Cruise steps in here, you're not allowed to talk to him, or you're not allowed to, interact with them if you see him in the passageway or anything like that." And Tom Cruise was exactly opposite of that. He'd walk in the shop and he'd go, "Hey, I'm kind of lost. Where am I? And how you guys doing?" So people would gather around him. And all the sailors at that very ending scene where they're going, "No, bullshit, you can be mine." Those were real active duty sailors that were used as extras,
Nice.
So they probably had them all dressed up in clean flight gear or, flight gear. Like I was a red shirt. So, and they're all going. And the crew reaction was actually kind of true because, these two guys are really excellent people and, very friendly with each other and stuff like that.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. No, that's awesome.
Yeah. So, I mean, there wasn't any type of animosity towards the crew and Maverick. Oh man, we got to go out for another 3 days because we got to shoot this stupid movie. That might have been a lot of intake, but as for the interaction with the crew, Tom Cruise very active and still is.
Yeah, absolutely. That's awesome. Let's get your rating out of 10, Bry.
I would give it 9.5.
Hell yeah. I could see it. Drop your ratings in the chat, guys.
Now, another interesting thing is when I was stationed on the Ranger for the last 3 years of the Ranger's commissioning, or time in service. Whenever we were out to sea, channel number 1 was always Top Gun. It completely streamed all the whole time we were out to sea. So you would come in, and we worked 12 hours. You'd come in, and Top Gun would be on screen too.
Hell yeah, gotta have it. Let me see. I think any other. Yep, definitely. A lot of 8s, a lot of 9s. Let me see if Gaz had it. Oh well, I guess I can move on to unless you guys have any other questions for Brian, guys, in the chat while we have them. Anything on his Navy career, Top Gun, or Zodiac? You guys are quiet today. I'm sure you heard about this, Brian, because you keep up with the trilogy. This is kind of the last thing that that Gaz had on here for a roundtable, and I was obviously going to bring it up anyway. Was talk of Top Gun 3. Where do you think it's headed after that second one, Maverick? And what are your thoughts?
I think they did a great job by using a 30-year separation. So I think that I'm excited to see it. I'm really wanting to see it. I haven't seen anything, like I said on earlier, Ward Carroll's channel yet on Top Gun 3. Maybe a little bit of teasers, but they're going to keep it pretty well secret until the movie's almost done, and then they're going to do it. But I'm excited for it. I'll definitely watch it.
You know what sucks is me. You know Gabe, obviously. So for those who don't know, are the Zodiac Files main staff is myself, Brian, my co-host, and Gabe, who does literally everything else that creates the show. Is me and Gabe go to Comic-Con pretty much every year. We're both comic heads, as you can see from my background. They had a massive Maverick panel planned, and that was right when COVID hit. So Tom was going to be there. It was all I could think about. I was like, dude, I'm going to be at Comic-Con with freaking Tom Cruise. The Maverick panel all got massively canceled because of COVID, and then it never came back. So that was, obviously, because Top Gun is like the San Diego movie. San Diego Comic-Con is like the big comic convention here, comic/movie convention out here. So that sucked that kind of release premiere. I mean, obviously the movie did fine, right? Over $1 billion in revenue, but that was one thing that kind of got messed up by all the COVID crap was having Tom at Comic-Con. Damn, we lost Brian again. Any questions for myself or Brian about Top Gun, his Navy career, or Top Gun 3 or 2 Maverick, or go check out my Top Gun 2 Maverick review, or Zodiac for Brian? You guys are quiet. Buck up. So we're celebrating Maverick. We're celebrating the career of Val Kilmer, the GOAT. What do you guys want me to talk about? Do you want me to talk about the interview with Dion tomorrow? Do you want me to talk about episodes 5 and 6 of the main series? Do you want me to talk about Top Gun 1, 2, or 3? Do you want me to talk about the Conan the Barbarian review next week? Yeah, I'll see what I can do about horror, Slip, but I don't watch a lot of horror, bud. I'm mostly a grindhouse. I watch like sci-fi horror, you know what I mean? Like The Thing, Hellraiser, Alien, like that's kind of more my lane. I dabble in horror here and there. Like Lauren Laprie, you've seen him from Average Superstar TV. He's our resident horror expert. Obviously, when my film Camera X comes out, that I'm executive producer on, we'll be talking horror for that. Desert Fiends, I crowdfunded, so we reviewed that. That was kind of like horror comedy. That's kind of Gaz's lane. I have should I announce what cameo I'm in? If I have a cameo in a horror movie, should I have announced that? Should I talk about the Crow Days of Sodom? You guys should go join that group on Facebook. Hopefully we get Bry back here. At least we knocked out most of the review with him. Talk to me, guys. What are we doing? There's a delay, so I'm going to let you guys catch up. I may or may not have accepted a villain role in a feature film. Was supposed to have a script read today. Actually got canceled because a bunch of the actors got sick. So maybe I'll talk about that when I feel like it. So far, the only thing I've announced is the fight scene I did in the Crow's Days of Sodom. No excuses, Pixie. No, I'll dial it back. I still owe you Invasion USA, so I won't give you any crap until I deliver that. We'll see if we can get Bry back. I'll shoot him a text. He said this must be the jet lag between Top Gun 1 and Top Gun 2. That was funny. Bing bong. Okay, we got Gunner 1 back. Boom. Gunner's mate, Brian P. Back in the cockpit, back in the saddle.
I wanted to remind everybody, every year they have they show Top Gun on the flight deck of the Midway.
Yes, dude, I'm gonna go to that. Would you know when they do it? Is it summer or?
You may need to check the website right now because
Google it. I'll Google it.
I was on there a couple of years ago, and so I was in my flight suit walking around being a docent. And,
yes, that's awesome. Top Gun movie night 2024. It was sold out at Friday, May 23rd. No, God, this was last year. Wait, God damn it, it sold out. It was yesterday. Shit, Brian, you got to tell me things in advance. Damn, I'm gonna go next year. I'll go next May. Let me see. Damn, I can't believe I missed that. That sucks. I didn't know about that. Oh no, they're playing Maverick. No, watch the Maverick trailer. 2025. It's sold out. God damn. They have a picture of it here though. It looks awesome. Damn. I'll think I could share my screen. Damn, that looks badass. I would have definitely went to that. Wall Street, we're definitely going to that next May.
Yeah.
Dude, that sounds awesome. Entire screen. There's it's just a little snippet, but that do I have it? Sure. Little snippet, but damn, how sick does that look, guys? The big screen with the Midway, or no? They're playing Maverick. They're playing Maverick on this one, Bri. Damn, that's so badass. I for sure would have went to that. Shit. Well, go to the Midway anyway. Like Brian was saying, the Midway is just dope, just to go to no matter what.
But also, with your ticket, you get barbecue and you get a Steel Beach picnic, and it's pretty cool. And you'll have to go to figure out what a Steel Beach picnic is. But anyway, it's awesome. It's an awesome time. I volunteer on the Midway. Haven't been there for a couple of years though, but since I moved to Nevada. But it's an awesome visit. They changed everything. It's a full life-size carrier. It's not that much smaller than the newer carriers that are out.
Hell yeah. I'm gonna get me a cheeseburger. That sounds legendary. But Top Gun 3, guys, we're looking for it. I know they sourced a bunch of the background actors in 1 and 2. A lot of local actors, probably a bunch from LA. So I'm going to see what I can do and get involved. It's pretty much my life goal to get some background work in Top Gun 3. So I'll see what I can do on that front. But any final questions for Bri before we wrap here? He shared some. I've never cared for the tiny man, Tom Cruise. All right, Pixie, you are banned from the channel for life. It's a strict Tom Cruise fanboyism rule here. So bringing up how small he is. So the scenes with Kelly when they were all like close up at each other's, I think it's like the elevator scene, like we're saying, and when he was walking around with the towel. So he had on lifts and she had on no shoes because she was way taller than him. So that's how they tried to, like, the studio wanted them to like balance out the height. I think Bri froze. Bri is frozen in carbonite. But yeah, you're wild for that, Pixie. There's no Top Gun slander on this channel. We're strict Top Gun fanboys. Bri, I need to turn off my share. All right. We'll see if we can get Bri out back for his outro. Any final ratings, final thoughts on Top Gun 1, 2, or Top Gun 3? Obviously, you guys know what's going on next week. Well, obviously, tomorrow I have... Let me check the schedule. I have it right in front of me, luckily. Wait, it's not showing it to me. Schedule. Okay, I can't. Wait, here's the chat. I can't see it. Brian is ice.
I'm back.
Quentin Broom says that you're Iceman, ice cold, no mistakes.
Oh, awesome. Thanks.
It's a big compliment. Big shoes to fill. Yeah, I think we can do our outro, Brian. We did our ratings. We topped Top Gun 3. Obviously, you guys will see Brian in episode 5 and 6 of the main series of the Zodiac Files. I've slowly breadcrumbed things out, but I haven't done any official announcement. We're still working on that behind the scenes. We got another Top Gun rating in here, another 9.5, same rating as Bryce. So yeah, can't disagree with that. I recommend everybody go catch a screening on the Midway if you're able, or just go to the Midway in general, because it's just cool to see the Naval Museum down there. Pop up to Oceanside, go to the Top Gun house, get one of those cherry pies, some ice cream. Beautiful day on the Oceanside Pier. And I think we're... Go ahead, Brian.
Go on the Midway, and as you're walking through the aft mess decks, you're going like, man, you had to be really small to fit through here. So Tom Cruise didn't have
No
a problem
problem
walking through the Midway. Me, I walk places, I bump my shoulders on the...
Brian, on the other hand, I don't know how he fit into ships and subs and aircraft carriers. That must have been some awesome magic you were doing, Brian. Or are they just...
bump my head a lot.
Yeah, for sure. Get you walk around with a flight helmet inside so you don't have any issues. Good stuff. Good show, guys. Paradigm Review Show. I think we're going to be ready to wrap in a minute, unless you guys have any final questions for Brian. Well, we have him. Navy, Top Gun, Zodiac. Tomorrow we have my friend Dion Walker from New Zealand, part 2. We're going to be discussing some interesting things. One killer theory essay, my full circle theory, FBI files, and a couple new things that we tried to mention last time before Dion dropped. So can stay locked with me and Bri in the Zodiac Killer Vault group on Facebook. Bry's one of my moderators there. Better lock in, Pixie. And I think that'll do it. Shout out to Bri for making his debut on PRS, Paradigm Review Show.
Yeah, and if you go to Ross's Zodiac Facebook and you'll see my name there. If you have any questions, go ahead and just do a PM, and I'll be happy to talk to you about it.
Ping Brian on there. We got the chat. You can also find me in the comments. Occasionally Brian will pop in there in the comments. Thanks for coming on from Pixie, Bri. And shout out to everybody for tuning in. So tomorrow, Dion Walker. Next week, Conan the Barbarian. Next Saturday. And then I think after that, I'll get ready to drop the June schedule. First show of June will be Bruce Lee, Game of Death. I think we got my boy Greg Fernandez joining us. So should be an excellent show. Thanks for joining, Bri. I'll be seeing you soon here, right? About a month.
See you on the 4th, man. We're going to be in Vallejo. That's going to be a cool trip.
Absolutely. I'll see Brian in the field, so you guys will see him back on the show, and hopefully we get that moving. All right, Brian, I'm just gonna drop you out in the green room and do the outro.
Okay, great.
Thank you for your service, sir. Happy Memorial Day. We'll see you. All right, guys. That was my boy Brian Gunner. Definitely look out for him in episode 5 and 6. No. It's in the lineup. It's in the lineup. So I have it for last show of June. Is that right? Yeah, I have it for last show of June, Pixie. But I also don't know if I'm going to go to UFC. So working that out. Gonna humanly possibly move mountains for you. And I know you threw down. I'm gonna make it happen for you. So I will work on it. I know we got to do it. We got to do it for all our veterans like Brian. No. Don't ever. How dare you mention that name on a show that Brian was just on? You know this is a post-free environment. This is a post-free stream. No. We're not doing that. All right. Shout out to everybody who came through. Fire Pixie, Epic, Darkside, Quentin, Slipknot was there. Yeah, we're gonna take it out on that. Top Gun. Go watch it. I think it's on Amazon Prime. You can watch it on YouTube. Go check out the trailer. And I'm definitely going to put the honest trailer in the description. Yeah, if you want to support the channel, like, sub, and share, click join for membership. All members are going to get early access to episodes 5, 6, 7, and 8 of the main series of the Zodiac files. Members only. Probably like 24-hour early release, 24 to 48-hour early release only. I'm also going to have an update coming on Patreon. If you want to join on Patreon, you can join free with your Gmail. I am going to have my review of the Red Circle probably up, if not tonight, in time tomorrow for the show with Dion. And you guys will see how the Red Circle is a possible Zodiac influence. Just go to my Patreon and go check out I was doing the Most Dangerous Game reviews and remakes on there. So I'm adding some other things. So there's a few more of those left. And then I'm going to do the Red Circle. It's a French film. All right, guys. Of course, a bunch of you guys jump in when we say we're leaving. I just see the viewer count going up. That's all good. That's all good. You get a free pass, Pixie. You're fine. You can do whatever you want. So I don't know. A bunch of you guys just jumped in. I'm about to jet. So if you want, just hit me on X at Ross Tracy PXF. You can always DM me on Instagram. You can ping me on Facebook or hit me and Brian in the group. It's Zodiac Killer Vault on there. I'm also in all the film groups as well. The Crow Days of Sodom, the Crow fan film. I'm in all that stuff. So that's it. Happy Memorial Day, everybody. Shout out to Brian. Thank him for his service and all our other U.S. and Navy veterans. And Top Gun, 1986, Tony Scott, Tom Cruise, rest in peace to Val Kilmer. One of the greatest action films of all time. Action drama with a little bit of, if you want to call that a love story in the middle. I'm out. Ping me. Thank you. We love you. All right. Peace. Next week, we're back with Conan the Barbarian, Arnold Schwarzenegger, my GOAT actor of all time. We're out. Click join for membership, like, sub, share, or join for free on Patreon. Ping me. Paradigm Review Show, #1 show in